Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for joining me over on the Dare to Be Artsy YouTube channel today. Today I am using this super adorable reindeer games stamp and die set along with some pattern papers. And although I am just using the reindeer in my card today, there are lots of little elements that are perfect for making Christmas cards. You've got the little feet that you could prop up on a fence or behind a wall or something like that. And then you've got all the little ornaments that you can hang off of the antlers. So it's a really versatile stamp and die set. And along with that, I will be using this Snow Much Fun collection of papers. So first I'm going to take a piece of bristle smooth cardstock and I'm going to go ahead and ink that up with some waterproof ink. And one of the great things about this reindeer image is that it fills up a card really well, and so you don't have to do a lot of other things on the card like create a scene or anything like that. It's really easy just to grab some pattern paper and put that on a standard size card. Today I am actually creating a slimline card, and so I went ahead and I stamped up two of the reindeers because I will be putting both of those on the card. But I'm coloring both of the reindeers using some water-based ink, and so I'm just taking the marker or water-based markers, and I'm just taking the marker and coloring a little bit. So usually when I watercolor using markers, I go ahead and put a light kind of like a base coat down first and then spread that with water. And especially when I'm doing animal or critter images, I like to outline the outside of the image and move that color in towards the center with my water and watercolor brush, and so that is what I'm doing. And then I will go back and add another layer and add a little bit more detail in the areas that should be darker. And I am not an expert on figuring out light source and where the light is hitting, so I just try and do my best at making sure that the image just looks cute, because in all likelihood the person that you're going to give this card to is not going to really be worrying about all the little details that we as card makers worry about. So I'm just going to go ahead and color both of the images up, and then I really love to bring in my colored pencils to add extra detail after I have finished watercoloring. So I just very lightly with colored pencils add some more areas to where I have some shadows or where I think there needs to be a little bit more color. And most of the time I am using a color that is most of the time I'm using a color that's a little bit darker than the original color that I have down on my image. And so after I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and take the die that coordinates with this set. I have also cut a piece of plain white paper out using just the die and not the stamp, so that I have a little bit of extra thickness when I put these on my slimline card. And I'm not using a slimline die or anything like that. I'm hand cutting these and using just a square die to make two little windows for my reindeers to peek out of. And the size that I'm using for these pattern papers are 8.5 by 3 1/4, and the pattern papers I'm using, this one right here is called Chocolate Mousse, the white background, and then more of the teal background is called Frosty Chalet. And then I'm going to take my blank die cut pieces for the reindeer shape, and I will adhere my colored rainbows to that. And then I always like to set a block or something heavy just to make sure those are adhered before I move on. So my card base is 8 3/4 by 3 1/2, which means I took a paper that was 8 3/4 by 7 and then scored that at 3 1/2, and that will give you your fold that is right in the middle. And I'm just going to take my first piece of pattern paper and adhere that with some liquid adhesive onto my card base. And then the other piece of paper, I went ahead and I backed that with a piece of cardstock to make it a little bit stronger, since I knew I was going to pop it up. And then I took some 1/8 inch foam strips and place that behind my frame piece so that it pops up a little bit away from the card. And then I'm going to place my little reindeers. So one of them is going to be on the bottom, kind of facing the correct direction. And so I'm just going to put him a little catty corner there and adhere him to the piece of foam, and then I'm going to add a little bit of foam to the back so that he sits on the card nicely. And so I put the body portion of the reindeer on the back of the the popped up piece or the pop-up panel, this teal piece, and then I brought forward his face and the antlers so that they are basically on the top of the a pop-up window. And I just repeated the same process for the little Rudolph that's upside down, and went ahead and added a little bit of extra liquid adhesive underneath the antlers. And then the sentiment I'm using says let's get jolly, but there's also a sentiment that says blitzened, so you could use let's get blitz end as well, which is super cute. I added a little bit of sparkle to some of the snowflakes and added some puffy paint to the little ball on top of the one reindeer's cap, and that will finish off this card. I hope you liked it. If you did like this card or this video or find it informative, please go ahead and give a thumbs up. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you soon.